Time. What is it? The time which remains? The time which has passed. Do I have time?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Pardon me. That was clumsy of me, letting that apple fall down like that. The process of falling is strange, isn't it?
Is it?
I mean, when this apple falls down, the earth pulls on the apple, and the apple pulls on the earth. So in some sense, the earth also falls towards the apple. Do you mind if I open the curtain?
I won't stop you.
Oh. It's beautiful outside, but the light is painfully bright.
Beauty and pain are often connected, aren't they?
I agree. The process of searching for beauty often involves pain.
Light itself is beautiful to me. So tell me, do you think light falls towards us like the apple falls?
No. I think light would act very differently to this apple.
So light doesn't fall. What are the characteristics then? Does it behave more like an aroma, like the aroma of this wine?
I don't think light moves like the aroma of wine either. Probably light acts in a way that is more like sound.
Sound. Ah. You think so? Sound needs air to move, right?
Certainly.
So, do you think light needs some kind of medium in order to move?
Yes, naturally.
Let's say this train is the Earth, and the air is your hypothetical medium. The Earth rotates around the Sun, so the Earth would be constantly traveling through this invisible medium at a speed of 100,000 miles per hour. The wind created by your hypothetical medium, it would blow with great intensity, right?
I suppose so.
If light moves within this medium you speak of, light would speed up and slow down as it interacts with the wind. For instance, the speed of light would dramatically change as it moves through the tailwind and through the headwind, wouldn't it?
It would. It doesn't seem possible that the speed of light could change.
No. The speed of light is invariant. It never changes. Personally, I don't believe light needs a medium in order to move.
What? In that case, how would you explain the transmission of light?
Imagine you were not in this train. Imagine you were in an empty void, a vacuum, and you threw an apple with great effort. Would the apple move, even in this void?
So the apple represents light in this thought experiment? Is that what you mean?
Let's say that's what I meant.
I don't think you could throw light like throwing a ball. When a ball is thrown, it speeds up and slows down. Because the speed of light can't change, that is impossible. Those birds. Even though they are probably flying quite fast, their speed seems slow, almost like they aren't moving.
So, how can you tell if these birds are flying at a high speed?
Because we are also traveling fast on this train.
Yes, but more precisely, it's because you have an absolute reference, the ground. True speed can only be defined if there is an absolute reference to compare it to.
I see.
Imagine instead of observing birds from a train, you are in an empty space observing light. How can you tell if you are moving or you are stationary?
First of all, is it even possible to see light itself, if there is nothing around for it to interact with?
That is a good point. You need matter to emit and reflect light to see light. So instead, let's imagine you and I are in an empty space, and I am holding a flashlight. Then who is moving and who is not moving?
Who? Either of us could be stationary or moving. It would be difficult to know for sure.
So what about light? If I'm moving backwards, away from you, at the speed of light, from your point of view, would the light emitting from my flashlight continue moving, or would it stop? Stationary light is impossible. If light stops, it's no longer defined as light.
So, you can never apply relative speed to light?
Exactly.
But is it true that light never stops moving?
Light is not a material. It's a messenger, so to speak. Light carries energy no matter how slow it moves. If light stops, it cannot be called a messenger anymore.
I agree. Sound stops being sound if it stops propagating too.
Indeed, only matter like you and me and the flashlight have relative speed.
I see. Sound and light are not matter. Air, which transmits sound, is matter, but neither light nor the vacuum through which light transmits is matter.
Yes. Light can travel through an empty space like this apple does. But the difference between an apple and light is that one is matter and one is not. Let's imagine the wine in this glass is the universe, and the bubbles are light. People create frameworks to describe the universe. We call these frameworks laws. Laws are, so to speak, containers for the universe, although in reality, there may not be any containers for the universe. Wine can go into anything. A bottle, a glass, a cask. There's no such thing as true container to hold this wine. Likewise, there are no two laws to govern the universe. All we can do is choose the laws, like we choose our wine glasses. but selection of a specific law binds a specific factor to the container. So I want concrete evidence before I select the law that binds space or time to it.
I see that bubbles always form at the bottom of the glass.
Bubbles have the potential to form anywhere in the vine. However, since this specific wine glass contains the wine in a specific way, the bubble formation is bound to be at the bottom of the glass. So, I choose a speed of light wine glass to contain and bind itself to the universe vine. When I observe the sand falling in the hourglass on this high-speed train, it makes me wonder how speed affects time.
Did you say something?
I have another question for you. Which do you think is faster? The speed of the sand falling in the hourglass, or the speed of the train as we are riding it now?
The train, obviously. I would guess that my walking speed is even faster than the speed of this falling sand.
Is that really true? Remember, the hourglass is moving along with the train.
Right. I actually mentioned that just before, when I was talking about how to determine the speed of those birds. How silly of me to forget. Yes, it moves an extra amount, equivalent to the height of the hourglass plus the distance the train has moved. I see.
Right. So sometimes the speed we see with our eyes is a bit misleading, right?
I agree.
Let's suppose the sand is light and the sand is falling at the speed of light. The speed of light would have to be added to the speed of the train.
Naturally. Wait. How can that be? Light is not matter, so the relative speed concept cannot be applied. As we agreed, the speed of light must stay the same.
Strange, isn't it? Here's another dilemma. If you were observing the hourglass from outside the train, and the speed of light is maintained, our observations would be different. I would see the light reach the bottom of the hourglass before you made the same observation.
How could that be? There must be a flaw in the logic somewhere.
How could we compensate for this time gap? We have three choices. Adjust the distance the train has traveled, adjust the speed of time flow, or adjust the speed of light.
Well, we have two choices, really. Choice 3 is impossible.
If you found yourself suddenly observing this train, gliding along with it from the outside like the birds we saw, you would be able to observe the speed of this train without difficulty. Choice 1 would be impossible.
Yes, we can't adjust the distance the train has traveled in that case.
So we adjust choice 2, the flow of time. Do you have a pocket watch?
Yes.
Let's synchronize our watches now. We can use these to track differences in the flow of time for each of us. Simultaneous events are defined in absolute sense if they occur in the same location. But if events occur in different locations, this absoluteness is lost. The last flash of light was located directly in the midpoint between you and me. So, we both observed the light at the same time, simultaneously, right?
Yes, the speed of light is invariant.
Right. But if we were observed by others from outside the train?
You would seem to move backward and be farther from the midpoint.
Yes, and they'd see you as being closer to the midpoint.
So they would experience this event differently from us.
Exactly. Simultaneity is different between observers inside and outside the train.
So, to compensate for that difference in simultaneity, I am sitting closer to you. They need to contract the space between us and the time inside this train.
Yes, this adjustment will not have any influence on any of their logical consequences.
So, if they observe an event from different locations, they can solve this logical dilemma by contracting our time and space inside the train, right?
Precisely. For us, the destination gets closer, and for the outside observer, every motion we make within the train will slow down. Likewise, the outside flow of time would slow down for us too. We cannot distinguish whether we are moving or the outside is moving. Observers from outside a train, which is traveling infinitesimally close to the speed of light, would see no motion within the train. It doesn't matter how much force is applied to objects inside the train. From their perspective, all motions within the train would cease. Then, no forces act on the train or anything inside the train. At this stage, the train's motion will be in a state of inertia. Therefore, the tracks of our train, the Inertia Express, never curve, and so the train moves straightforwardly and eternally through water, metal, even stars.
I do not know what I may appear to the world, but to myself I seem to have been only like a boy playing on the seashore and diverting myself in now and then finding a smoother pebble or a prettier shell than ordinary, whilst the great ocean of truth lay all undiscovered before me.